in the month of March, these tariffs came to fruition and the market saw a massive drawdown. So in just the month of March, we're down about 5.75. On the year, we're down a little over 4%, but some things to really highlight. So we hit correction territory throughout the month of March. Remember, correction territory is a drop in 10% from the year's highs. So not from the start of the year, but from the year's highs. And we see this happen about once every single year. So from February, from about mid-February to mid-March, we saw our drop in 10%. You can see it here. Now, by the end of the month, we recouped and we came back out of correction territory. We'll see this fairly often as that's a key indicator, whether it's automatic buying or just people's gut feel on, hey, I don't think this is as bad as it's going to be. So they toss money in when the market's down 10%. Again, it's a fairly common occurrence. So that's just wanting to highlight that for you. Now, we know the cause of what's drawing us down. And now, again, I'm doing this report in April. And a lot has happened in April. So I want to caveat a couple things, is that I'm going to be sending out videos to specific pockets of people throughout my book of business, just so that you know kind of where you fit and you know what I think you should be looking at. So again, I'm not advising from a market timing standpoint. I'm trying to let you all know there's different financial perspectives, there's different financial products, there's different approaches that we all have access to. And bit by bit, I want you guys to understand those. So I just want to make these points. I really think that this is a phenomenal time to educate yourself on what your investments are doing. So you look at what the S&P 500 is doing, you look at what the overall market is doing, and you compare it to what your investments are doing, whether that's in your 401k, whether that's in your IRAs, whether that's in your taxable accounts. And we just compare to what they're doing. So this is a really important part to note what it's doing right now as we're coming into the drawdown. And then when, if and when things rebound, note where things are as well. Because again, there's all sorts of different approaches. Again, I will be sending out various videos to you all. So look for that later in this week. So we know the cause, it's the tariffs. There's that's the big bad right now. And while there are other competing factors, that's just our mainstay. So I'm going to focus less on that, and I want to just focus more on where certain indices are at, or where certain different types of investments are at. So your areas of investment that are up are outside of the US for the most part, or within precious metals. So again, gold and silver are doing well. Your global markets are doing well. Your more risk on assets, the indices within the US are down. And that's just important to note so that we know what's going on. So this leads us to the talk of diversification, right? This is why we are spread out, not just in the US. Now, I believe that most of the opportunity is in the US, but on times like this, it's nice to be able to see something else going up. It's nice to also see you not as down as the overall market. So as much as we like to be in the S&P 500 when it's going up, it's nice to have diversification outside of that to just kind of weather the storm. One of the biggest notes I also want to make is now is not a time for action unless you are putting money to work, unless you are taking dry powder, cash, and you are putting it into the market, taking advantage of the market drawdown. Now is not a time to revamp your portfolio. Now is not a time to make drastic changes, because if we go from risk on assets and we take them out, then we lock in some of those losses that we experience. So that's why I am huge on take a look right now, educate yourself on where your investments are. Watch some of my videos that come to your specific demographic in the coming days, and hold on. Take note of how you feel. Take note of what's going on around you. And as we come out, once we get back up, that's when we make our changes. So if you guys remember from a couple of videos ago, end of last year, start of this year, that's when I was suggesting, hey, now might be a good time to make an adjustment when the market is up, not when it's just experienced a drawdown. As far as this drawdown in particular, I'm conflicted on it, but I do think that it will be more short-lived. And here's the reasons why. I still see a lot of people sitting on money market. So they've still been in that 4% money market, and they could still put that into the market. They could still put it into another investment. I think that that's kind of sitting as a bit of a safe haven for most people who have assets, who are investors. So that's number one. Number two is that this is a primarily man-made drawdown, being that, you know, the shock to the system was that most people thought Trump was bluffing on tariffs, and that jury's still out. We truly don't know. While these have come into place, and while we hear certain things from the White House, we still don't know what the game that is being played. So if things get bad enough, there's a world where Trump rolls right out and moves on from this whole tariff talk and goes back to normal. Now, there's going to be repercussions one way or another, but it wouldn't be outside of him to do so. And it isn't necessarily a benefit for him in the long term to do so. Now, he could stay true to these tariffs because he believes in them so much. That might not be good for the market in the short term, but I do believe if that's the stance, if he's doing what he's doing, why he is doing it, that would be greater for our overall economy, and we just have to weather that storm a little bit. So again, take this time as an education standpoint. Pay attention now. I know most advisors say, hey, you know, don't look at your statements until you get closer to retirement, or don't look at all even. And I'm telling you, take a look, ask questions, use my email, educate yourselves on what we're in, so that if you say, you know what, I don't like what I'm in, we can make an adjustment when we get out. Or if you find that you don't mind being risk on, don't mind the amount of risk that you're taking, we either affirm where we're at, or we even get more confident in where we are at. Well, that's all for now. Still a lot to see within the month of April. And again, please look out for those other videos as I put them out throughout this next week or so. And please email me, give me a phone call if you have any questions at all. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in April.